do Skype sessions when it comes to dog training. I won't do Skype sessions about Bigfoot research, UFOs, aliens, pawpaw trees, anything like that. I don't want to answer personal questions on Skype. It should be about dogs and dog training. Now, one thing I want to make perfectly clear about doing a Skype session with me in regards to dogs and dog training is not really an appropriate way to get your dog trained. And if you contact me before and you give me a bunch of information, it sounds like you have so many problems with your dog that a Skype session isn't going to help. I don't want your money. If you contact me and we're doing a Skype session, I only have a certain amount of information, I might tell you that flat out what you need to do is abort and train. And it might not necessarily be with me. If you're in an area where it would be hard for me to get to your house with the dog after the board and train, I'm probably going to pass. Like, there was somebody that contacted me a couple weeks ago. It just seemed like it was unrealistic. One, it was like 2 hours north of the city. So if I'm even going to my house, you know, it's just not going to work. And I was telling her to use Caine 1. So if I'm talking to you and I can sense that, like, one, your problems are so severe, you have behavioral problems with your dog, okay? This is a flat out. If you're having behavioral problems with your dog, you contact me and you say you have any type of aggression with your dog, I'm going to tell you you need to do a board and train. A Skype session isn't going to help, okay? It's not going to help. If you have not just aggression, but any type of severe behavioral issues with your dog, a board and train's the way to go. But I'm not, do you understand? I don't want somebody's money. I don't want to just get on there and, you know, do a Skype session to make some money. That's not what I'm here for. And one other thing is, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you have to hear. And that's my total approach towards dog training, is that people need to be more realistic. You do. You need to be more realistic. Now, I'll take a board and train. Finn is from Philadelphia. Most of my clients are from, you know, Taiwan, Canada. You know, they're from, you know, some are from New York City, of course, but most of them are from, you know, distant places. And I do a board and train if I know that the person can come down, stay in the area for a couple days, we can get the lessons done so that I can train the human. I'll do that. Or if, like in Finn's case, Finn was in Philadelphia, to jump on a train and go down to Philly to help Finn's mom, you know, in person, that's not really a stretch. It's not that far. It's easy to accomplish this. And another thing about Finn's mom, she's in her 20s. I'm not an ageist, but I'm also realistic. I know that if somebody's my age, right, like the woman a couple weeks ago, she's 54, she's, you know, I'm 54, she's a year or two older than me. She's set in her ways, she's created these behavioral problems with her dogs, and then I'm talking to her and she's like, so if the dog does a board and train, can it go on the bed still? You know, I understand that that's an unrealistic person. With Finn's mom, it was a younger woman who isn't, like, set in her ways about what a dog thinks. She's open-minded. She just wants a well-behaved dog. And it also is sort of a relative of Joopy's mom and Mike and Mila's mom. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Do you understand? So Skype session, you can get some stuff done. In other words, I can recommend, yeah, you need to do a board and train. Or I can point out things that you're making mistakes doing. You know, I can ask you questions, and I had a Skype session yesterday, which was, I thought went well. In other words, I could ask the guy questions, what he was doing, what kind of collar was he using before he had the problems. I can say, well, go back and use that collar, backtrack. You know, what type of leash are you using for this? We'll bump it up to a check cord. Ask him questions about the e-collar, because I didn't e-collar condition the dog. Ask him what he's doing. You know, I can give suggestions in general terms, okay? We can also talk about raw diet and nutrition. All that can be accomplished, but I cannot physically be there with your dog on a Skype session and give you instruction like, look, this is the way it's done. And that's one reason why I always recommend board and train and not private lessons, is because private lessons doesn't get the dog trained. You're left for that week to get the dog trained, and usually the dog trainer comes back and the dog's not trained properly. So the board and train is the proper way to do it. Get the dog trained so it'll function for me, and then teach the human, the owner, how to make the dog function for them the same way, and then they can step in and continue training the dog for its lifetime. So I turn down these Skype sessions. I do if it sounds like it's just like, you know, you have severe behavioral problems with your dog, you have aggression or something like that. You need to do a board and train with somebody. Why are you being cheap anyway with the dog? The people that have dogs that have issues with the dog, like aggression, and then I find them asking a question underneath my video, it's like, are you serious? You're talking about your dog being aggressive, and you want me to write a simple solution for your problem underneath a video. That's the problem that we have in the society, is that people are just so unrealistic about canines. We have 4 million dogs dying every year because of lack of training or improper training. 4 million, and we also have about 4 million people getting bit every year. And as far as like kids to adults, that ratio, it's about 50-50. 50% of the bites are children and 50% are adults. It's a fucking mess because everybody's being unrealistic. You have to train the dog for its lifetime. It's not a morphed little human being. It's very little about the dog is like you. It's a mammal, yes, but it doesn't, we're very unique. We have this brain that's so much larger than even a chimp. So if you were going to compare animals like a human to a lower life form, whatever you want to call it, you would compare them to the chimp, and we're really nothing like the chimp. We're aggressive and violent like the chimp, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like if you compare the human to a dog, dogs don't have like psychological problems. Humans do. Dogs don't have the gray matter for that. You know, it's like people are worried about the emotional state of their dog. What emotional state? To have an emotional state would imply that the dog ponders thought, and it doesn't. It just responds. It doesn't sit around thinking about, I miss my owner. And I'll tell you that for a fact. When dogs come with me, as soon as we get them away from the owner, they start responding appropriately. And I never see them sad. There is no such thing as a sad dog, okay? There might be a sad owner that's projecting upon their dog, but it's easy to amp up a dog. They're totally excitable. And remember, excitement is the point where all dogs make mistakes. They bark, lunge, bite, or just don't listen. If you want to do a Skype session, I'll do a Skype session with you, but be realistic. We can get some things done. We can talk about dog training in general terms. I can even show you the proper way to hold a leash. Okay? But we can't really get your dog trained. You're stuck doing it. And if you aren't going to want to spend the time with the dog, getting the dog conditioned properly, you got to do a board and train with someone appropriate, not a food trainer, not anybody that uses purely positive methods. You might find a balanced trainer that uses food. Just make sure they're not using food all the time. It's ridiculous. Real quick, and then I'm going to go. But on the Skype session the other day, the guy was talking about, I only watched 3 different dog trainers. I'm not going to say who they are. I was one of them. And the one guy that he was talking about, I don't really know anything about. He's on my Facebook friends list. But he said, yeah, the guy's all about giving the dog food, motivating the dog with food. It's ridiculous. There's no food used if a dog comes here for board and training. I don't recommend anybody uses food. It's absurd. A dog trainer that has to use food to motivate a dog? What do you want to do? Walk around with a fanny pack? You know, bribing the dog? Oh, let's motivate the dog with some food. Great way to make the dog aggressive. Great way to condition the dog to be excited. And it's a great way to make you look like a resource for snacks. Don't use food to train your dog. Don't listen to somebody just because they have a book out and they're supposedly an expert. Listen to me. I don't have a book out, okay? And I'm telling you, don't train your dog with food. It's unnecessary. It is. It's totally unnecessary. Use praise, toys, anything the dog likes. And if you want to motivate the dog, you can use your voice to motivate the dog. Come on, here. Use an up tone with the dog. It's a fact. If you want to do a Skype session, contact me by email. Don't call me on the phone. Contact me by email and we can set something up.
Chick dog's got a bounce on the line. Get that fish in the boat. God damn it. Get it in the boat. It's a fucking whale. Goddamn whale. Get it in the boat. Damn it.